Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Oxnard City Council Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting for February 27th. Madam Clerk, do you have any comments to read?
Not at the moment, but I will call the roll. Member Valenzuela?
Present.
Member Zaragoza?
Present.
Chair Perillo?
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board on February 20th, 2024. Thank you.
And we'll have Assistant Public Works Director, Mr. Brian Yennis, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and take a moment of silence for all the things going on in the world.
Hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I don't believe we have any comments for items not on the agenda. Is that correct?
Chair Perillo, we do not have any public speakers in person or virtually for items not on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. First item on the agenda, the consent agenda, item 1, City Clerk Department. The approval, subject is the approval of the minutes. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee approve the minutes for January 23rd, 2024 regular meeting as presented. Do we have any comments on this item, Madam Clerk?
We do not have any public comments.
Thank you. My fellow committee members, do you have any changes, suggestions?
I don't.
Okay, do you have a recommendation?
Move to approve the minutes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have, please vote.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item, reports, D1, Public Works Department, Environmental Resources Solid Waste Rates Update Report. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council receive and file solid waste rate update report. There is a presentation, a video presentation, but due to Measure M, it will not be presented tonight. There is an opportunity for the presenter, Mr. Wolf, to address questions from either the public or the committee. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments on this?
Yes, Chair Perillo, we do have one public speaker. One moment, please.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. McLaughlin? Please unmute yourself by pressing *6.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. You have 3 minutes. Please go ahead.
Oh, I can speak right now?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to understand the services considered by this is an enterprise fund, I'm sure, for the rate increase. And according to, I believe, enterprise funds, it should be run like a business. I have a request regarding the accounting for the waste collection study. And is there an estimate on the cost to operate one trash truck per week to make a typical rounds in the city of Oxnard? Also, has the department done a survey of residents and how often they put their containers out per month? There should be a survey of what kind of containers, waste, recycle, or green waste. What we're trying to figure out is to see what kind of savings we could have if you only collected waste once a week and alternated the other 2 weeks for recycling and green waste, not only financially but environmentally, by not unnecessarily putting large trucks on the streets. Regardless of what might be mandated, what would be interesting to see the cost savings financially and environmentally. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions. We'll try to get staff to address some of them. Are there any other comments for public, Madam Clerk?
Chair Perrella, we do not have any additional speakers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and committee members. So to respond to McLaughlin's questions, the estimates on the cost for refuse trucks is included in the cost of service study. So the cost of service study that is online is available for all of the public. If they go to www.oxnard/refuse rates, they can find that cost of service study. And so each of the refuse trucks have been calculated. The cost for them is in the overall cost of service study. Now, how often containers are out each month, that's a very good question, very good point. We provide service based upon the containers that are set out. There's an industry standard set out rate for how many containers are generally out from the public. The city does not have software that tracks each container. So right now we don't have a record, we don't keep a record of how many are out and how many are not. So we would have to rely upon the industry standard of the set out rate per the industry in California. Staff would be happy to bring that back. I don't have that on me right now. For cost savings and for requirements for setting containers out, once 1 week, and as Mr. McLaughlin had said, having trash 1 week, recycle organics on another week or whatnot, what have you. In the 90s, we had AB 939, which required a good faith effort of diverting 50% of the landfilled material into recycle carts. So you had recycle carts and trash carts once a week, and it was by order of Assembly Bill 939. It was a good faith effort. That was in 1989, 1990. And as of January 1 of 2022, Senate Bill 1383, it's a mandatory requirement of a weekly pickup of not only recycle and trash, but also organic waste material, which includes food waste. So the agencies in California don't have the option to do an alternating weekly service. There's also a PRC code for health and safety that weekly municipal service is provided. So these are in keeping with the state laws.
Mr. Chair, but Eric, I think some of the things that people misunderstand is that there's a basic cost regardless if the trash can is out or not. Because that truck's gonna go out there, whether it's 1 container, 2 containers, or whatever amount. But the basic cost is there all the time because you gotta pay the driver, you gotta pay the truck, and so forth. It's kind of similar to water. You have water and you have a faucet, whether you use water or not, there's a basic cost it's gonna cost for submitting that water is there for your use. And the same way with refuse, because I remember many, many times somebody would say, well, I went on vacation, I didn't put my trash can out, I need a discount. No, that truck goes by regardless if you put that trash can out or not. So I think that's something that people don't really fully understand. I just wanted to share that for additional information. I'm not sure if you want to add more to that, but it's a basic cost whether that truck goes out or not, because you're going to pay for it, you're going to pay for the equipment, and also for administration and the cost of that employee.
That's 100% correct. And to add to that, I would only add that it's not just 1 truck, it's now 3 trucks.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Weekly. And so we are servicing those neighborhoods whether they put them out or not. Correct.
That's right. And I'm using the 1 truck issue because we do have 3, and those are mandated items. We just.
Correct.
If we didn't have to do it, we didn't do it, but they're mandated that we do green waste, now organic, and the regular refuse. So,
Correct.
So that cost is there regardless. I just wanted to share that for
Thank
the
you,
folks that are, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Number one, thank you very much. I'd like to thank the caller for the comments, but before you leave the podium, Mr. Zers, thank you very much for your thing. Again, please give the website where the public can see this, and again, please give the state laws which require the weekly thing. I have had questions with respect to, and I believe they've been answered by the questions that the mayor and the information the mayor shared. I've been asked, why doesn't the city have a program where if a driver were to go down the street, that we can check that this house only needs the services once a month and not charge them the full amount? I believe the mayor's points and the information you gave and the state law address that. The second was, I believe that there is an opportunity for residents to save some money on this refuse if they go for a smaller size can. Is there any information you can share about that? And third, at a recent neighborhood, I think it was Via Marina neighborhood, there was an update with respect to the issue of the recyclability of the recycles that we have, the cleanliness and how we stack up with that stuff. And I would just share this. If we went to alternating weeks, which apparently the state law says we can't, if we did, we would be on a trust system. And that doesn't always work. People would start to put the trash in with the recyclables, and that would impact us with our ability to market the material. And again, I appreciate that there are concerns. I appreciate, number one, that the item is on the agenda. I appreciate the concerns the public has, but I think that our hands are tied based on state law and the common sense of you do the best you can with the trash. Granted, this is something nobody wants to deal with, but it's an extremely expensive item for the city of Oxnard, let alone the picking it up, but the dumping of it in a landfill. And if people are paying attention, they can hear about what goes on with landfills that are not operated correctly. And we're fortunate to have the operation that we have in the city, and we're not hassled with those things. But if you could help out, I'd appreciate that, and give the address for the public, as I'm sure the individual asking the question is not the only person that has a question in mind. The email address where they can find, or the website where they can find information.
Absolutely. So the website address is www.oxnard/refuse rates. That website is included in the mailings that were sent, the Prop 218 mailings that were sent to the property owners. So that was included. It's on that flyer as well. But again, www.oxnard/refuse rates. The state laws that require the service are, again, in the 90s was AB 939. That was a good faith effort. Now in 2022, January 1 of 2022, it is a mandatory requirement, and that is Senate Bill 1383, which the city must comply with. The opportunity for the public to reduce their cost is there and is included on both the website and in the cost of service study. And residents can go from a 96-gallon container service, 3-cart system, to a 64-gallon trash service, 3-cart system, trash, recycling, and organic. So 96 to 64 is an opportunity for savings. Our recyclabilities. Thank you, Council Member, for bringing that up. Del Norte MRF is an extremely valuable commodity for the residents of the city of Oxnard. Our commodities here at the Del Norte facility produce commodity bales because they're hand sorted. There's a lot of work that goes involved with the facility where we're pulling out contamination. So it's very important that the public not contaminate the products. That less contamination in our commodities, recyclable cardboard, aluminum, glass, those kinds of things, we are able to sell them in the order of upwards of $100 more a bale here in the city of Oxnard versus if we were to go to Simi or into LA. So the ports that we do business with, when we bid out these commodity bales, we get a higher value to them because of the less contamination. And so I would say that not having this 3-stream weekly service could lead to greater contamination and could impact the revenues that the facility generates, and also not comply with the state laws and subject the city to violations and such. So
And one more, Mr. Zert. The requirement is 3 trash containers per week, state law.
correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, can I, one of the things I think that that McLaughlin mentioned was our utilities are self-supporting enterprises. We have water, wastewater that are self-supporting enterprises. And the wastewater and the ER is a self-supporting enterprise. And we charge, according to 218, the cost of providing the service, which I think is really, and also the other thing too, that potentially we don't make profit like other enterprises do. So it's self-supporting enterprise, water, wastewater, and so forth, which I think is really important that people understand that. Thank you.
Mr. Yanis, go ahead.
Chair, committee members, Brian Yan is Assistant Public Works Director. Thank you, Eric, for your detailed explanations. On the website, he just missed out, he missed a couple of letters. So it is www.oxnard.org/refuse rates.
Okay.
And Brian, there's also a phone number that people can call there. It's 805-385-8060.
That is correct.
Yes, I think it's important too. If people don't have a computer, they can use that 805-385-8060. I still remember the phone number for 200 years ago.
Thank you, Mr. Yanis, and thank you, Mr. Zerk. Thank you. And Michael Wolf, thank you very much. Do we have, and Madam Clerk, there's no one else is called in?
Chair Perrello, we do not have any speakers virtually or in person for this item. Thank you.
Thank you again. Do we have any recommendations from the committee?
Yeah, it's a receiving file.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager.
And
We want you to send it to the council.
So moved to send to the council.
I'd second that.
okay,
We vote to send it to the council.
second.
City Attorney, do we vote to send it to the council? Okay. Okay, please vote.
Chair Perrello, we had a motion
To-
by
to-
Member Valenzuela
Yes.
and a second by Member
Zaragoza.
Zaragoza. Thank you.
Thank you for checking, Madam Clerk.
Of course. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda, Public Works Department, subject, purchase order from McLaughlin Waste Equipment Incorporated for the metal refuse containers for the Environmental Resource Division. Again, this is a Measure M item. Because of Measure M, there will be no physical presentation, but there is an opportunity to ask questions. The recommendation before the committee is that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council authorize the mayor to execute a purchase order with McLaughlin Waste Equipment Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $2.5 million for a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2027 for metal refuse containers. And Madam Clerk, do we have any comments on this from the public?
Chair Perrello, we do not have any speakers in person or virtually for this item.
Thank you very much. Mr.
I just want a quick question. Good presentation, by the way. One thing that I've noticed that now we're going to have, or do we have 1-yard containers, 3-yard containers, and 10-yard containers?
Yes. Yeah, that
Because
is-
before we only had 2 4s and we had 8s at one time, then
Yeah.
13.4s and 30s. But the 1-yard, is that new, and the 3-yard and so forth, Eric? And the reason I'm asking that is because now people in the commercial, they can probably save some money by going to maybe a 1-yard or a 3 or a 10, which I think is really significant, which I kind of like that, because we didn't have that before.
Great catch, Mayor. That's exactly correct. And so the 1-yard bins are going to produce an opportunity for commercial sector and multifamily to be able to reduce on their current bills. They'll find out very quickly going from 296-yard, containers and into a 1-yard bin is going to be a savings. And so some of the cost of service, what it resulted in is recognizing the opportunity to add 1-yard bins, 3-yard bins, so that we don't, sometimes you're good with the 2, but you don't need a 4, and you kind of need to, work those.
And
other
the benefit too is that they can pick it up to, 6 times a week, right?
Correct. We are a 6-day-a-week
opposed to-
service.
So, a daily service. And is it a front-end loader, the 1
It
yard?
is, yes.
I would like to see that once you get them. It's really,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
And the 3-yard and the 10-yard, it's just, I know that Harrison had them before, I think the 2 and 3 yards, but the 1-yard, I think is, again, you might have a duplex that might need a 1-yard or a 3 or a 2,
Yeah, if you look at 2 96-gallon residential carts,
Yeah,
that's a 1-yard bin.
right.
So, and if you were paying for 2 96-gallon carts, you're paying more than what a 1-yard bin would cost.
Exactly right,
So there
yeah.
is going to be a savings, and that was a part of the purpose.
And one of the things too that in your presentation, we have 16,500 commercial units and 10,500 containers out there. 10,000, that's a tremendous amount. Just,
Yeah, and that's made up of, both bins, shared bin service, some
Right.
carts, multifamily, yeah, so there's a lot of numbers.
and the other thing that I noticed, before we only had 13.4s and 30s, now we have 40s.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It's just a sheer based upon demand.
Is a 40 a compactor?
It can be,
It can be.
it can be, but
Because
it's a
normally,
roll-off.
I think at one time, the only 40s we had were compactors, so,
Mm-hmm.
like St. John's and big grocery stores had them, so. But I really enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm like a little kid. Yeah, thank you.
One question, I believe you had mentioned the 10-yard is going to be a front loader pickup?
No, the 10-yard bin is going to be a roll-off.
A roll-off, okay, that was my only question.
Yeah.
Good catch.
On that point. The second thing is, are these containers made here, or are they brought in from overseas, or how, do you know where they're manufactured?
Yes, so McLaughlin Waste Equipment has a facility in Lockford, California, and they've got offices in Galt. Now, they are doing business with Waste Equip. Waste Equip's got a series of subsidiaries, one of them being Confab. And so Confab is where the production of the bins is coming from through McLaughlin. And so there's manufacturing is occurring in Galt, California for the body fabrication. Fontana is where manufacturing of steel occurs. And then Otay Mesa, which is, San Diego, is a body distribution. That's where distribution area is out. Sun Valley is where they do repair services. And then Tijuana, Mexico is also another body fabrication. And so from all of those regions, those areas is where the bins will come from.
Have we found that the consistent time for a life cycle for a container, has it increased or stayed about the same? The life cycles of these things?
I would say it stayed about the same. The consistency of the steel has not changed. These bins have lasted, and usually what we try to do is refurbish those bins that are dilapidated. We still do that. And so when we get to a point at which we cannot any longer refurbish the bins, this could be 15 to 25 years, depending upon what the use of it is being used for. We will then recycle that steel, that metal, and reuse it in other ways.
If we do refurbish, do we do it in-house or we send it out to a repair facility?
In-house.
In-house, okay. Those are the only questions I had.
And also the mill of the container is really important.
Yes.
Because there's certain type of mills, and the thicker the mill, the more
Right.
the containers can last the longest.
Exactly.
One of the concerns we used to have in the past was the bottoms are all coming up because of moisture.
Yeah,
but-
moisture eats it. Mhm.
And so a lot of those bottoms are reinforced for that reason, just,
Correct, extra weld beads, yeah, exactly.
yeah. Thank you, sir.
And it appears we have no other comments from the public. What is the recommendation of the committee? And this is a recommendation to authorize the mayor to execute a public purchase order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Please vote.
Chair Perrello, I have a motion by Member Zaragoza, a second by Member Valenzuela. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Last item on the agenda, Public Works Department again. The subject, general fund reimbursement of service charges for two special districts. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the city manager to approve a transfer in the amount of $168,247.67 for reimbursement of sidewalk service charges, including interest, to 21 landscape maintenance districts, Fund 120, from the General Fund, Fund 101, with corresponding budget appropriation adjustments. Again, this is a measure, due to Measure M, this is a video presentation, will not be shown here. It's available for the public online. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments on this?
Chair Perrello, we do not have any speakers on this item virtually or in person. Thank you.
Okay. Board members, do we have any questions?
The only question I had is, Eric, do all the landscape districts, do we owe money back to everybody or just some districts? Am I making any sense there?
Yes, Mayor. Good evening, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Eric Story. I'm your Special Districts Manager. The question was, will all of the districts receive reimbursement for services? The answer, Mr. Mayor, is no. In this specific example, not all of our special districts, specifically the LMDs, not all of them are authorized to maintain sidewalks. Therefore, services have not been provided under the Special Districts Division to those districts. So short answer, Mr. Mayor, is no.
So, they were paying for potentially some of the stuff that was in city property or right-of-ways. Is that wrong, different? No? Okay.
Thank you, Michael.
So in each one of the landscape maintenance assessment districts, there are authorized improvements to be allowed for use of the funds. And some of those districts there's sidewalks that are allowed for improvement, hardscape, landscape, trees. And so what was occurring is that in some locations, the assessment district funds were paying for locations that should have been paid for by the general fund.
Okay.
And so when invoices were checked, we were able to find certain districts that those funds were being used when it should have been general funds. So what we're doing is replacing those funds with general fund
And
money.
reimbursing, okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Arthur? Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everybody involved in this presentation, Mr. Story, but Mr. Howlett and the Public Works Department and Javier, and I'm terrible with the last name, the Chief Financial Officer for the City of Oxnard. My understanding is there's 21 districts, is that correct?
For this staff report, there are 21 districts, yes.
21 districts, and any interest that would have been generated is being paid back to the particular fund that needed the fund replaced, the replacement of the funds.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. And I would like to publicly thank the members of the public, any member of the public that has brought anything to our attention, because when something is brought to our attention where there was a error or an omission, the city works through various departments. In this case, a tremendous amount of work to verify the concern and then to rectify the problem. And if the council approves this going forward, this will be taken care of to make things correct. The issue of when this happened and the responsible parties for, everybody makes mistakes, myself included. The correction is the responsibility of the city of Oxnard to make it correct. But it's also the responsibility of the city of Oxnard to say, no, they didn't make a mistake when some people call and challenge what's going on with various funding sources in the city of Oxnard. So I would, again, like to thank the members of the public that have brought things to our attention and the entire organization for the city of Oxnard to make it right. And with that, I definitely would support supporting this item. I'd move the action.
Second.
Go ahead.
A second.
Yeah, second it. Unless there's any member of the staff that wants to add anything. No. Okay.
Or any public members?
And, gee, see, it's making mistakes right here. Right.
No, that's not a mistake.
Matt, yeah, it is.
We're
It
a
is.
team.
It's a mistake. We are, geez, I'm sorry, guys. Madam Clerk, are there any public comments on this item?
Chair Perrella, we do not have any speakers on this item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And staff does not wish to make any comment. We have a motion and a second.
I think if you're going to give me a second chance at it, I'll go ahead and add some. In the staff report, I wanted to make sure we highlight the fact that we continue to look for these kinds of issues going forward. And we've actually used the help from the city manager's office to go ahead and do some spot checking for other services. So we will continue to do this research for all kinds of services, all the services that are provided in the special districts. And if it needs to come back to council for correction, we will do that as well.
Thank you very much for adding that.
And Mr. Chair, Michael and the city manager and staff, it's important that like our chair mentioned, if we made a mistake, we own up to it and we're reimbursed. And accordingly, if other folks believe that we made a mistake and they're not correct, then we accordingly correct that too. So I think, again, thank you and our city manager and everybody put together. Excellent work.
And just before calling for the vote, I'd like to add, trust, you give it begrudgingly, but when you lose trust, you're very difficult to bring it back. This is another example of the trust, in my opinion, being earned by the public from the actions of the management in the city of Oxnard. This is something that is not commonly found, where efforts to bring something to the public, to bring something to the government's attention, there's a wrong. And if it's been verified that there was a mistake, an honest mistake, that's addressed and taken care of and made whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
And please vote on this matter.
Chair Perrello, I have a motion by Chair Perrello, a second by Member Valenzuela. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, thanks to all the staffs in the different departments in the city of Oxnard and the manager for this activity. Do we have any suggestions for future items on the agenda?
I don't.
I do not either. With that,